So it's never going to be perfect, right? Because if I will get it perfect.
We'll go along with that. In fact, we'll say it's never going to be perfect, but it's always going to be satisfying.
I see. Okay.
And it can't be perfect because that implies finished. And because you're eternal, it can't be done. So it's always ongoing, which means, so something happens, you say, I'm so glad you're here because you assure my longevity in this body. I'm so happy that you're making my life so miserable because if it were not for you, I wouldn't be launching more rockets and I'd have nowhere to grow.
I understand. So, but work, it's okay. You can drop it, you can move on, you can ask for another one, and it will come for sure.
However, your patterns with your work people and your patterns with your personal people are pretty much the same patterns.
I see.
And we're just asking you to not be so human. No, that doesn't. We're just asking you to not be so responsive to the conditions. Here's a really good description. So let's say you're in that manifested place in some situation, and for whatever reason, it's not pleasing you in some way. And you manage to get back into meditation and get another run at it, and it feels better. And then it goes wonky again because it's full of contrast. And so you get back into meditation and you get the momentum going and it gets better, but it still goes wonky. And then you kind of lose faith in the value of that. So you just do a little less of that and a little more of paying attention. And then it just wobbly and kind of wonky and wobbly and kind of wonky. And you just kind of develop into this pattern. And then you think, I need to do something different. And we say, you can't get there from there. Take that phrase home. Can't get there from there. You can't get to where you want to be from a manifestation that isn't pleasing you. You got to quiet your mind and get yourself away from it and start in a whole new neutral place, not neutral, a whole new empowered place where everything you want and your inner being is, and then get another run at it and 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 get another run at it. And then one day, today or tomorrow, you find yourself in a manifestation that isn't perfect, but your satisfaction factor didn't go away because you have understanding of how it works. You're not blaming yourself. You're not blaming them. You understand you're collecting data. You understand it's just part of the process of making decisions about what you want. You don't freak out over little things. You stand solid in your knowing that all is well. You just get better and better at riding out the ripples, more and more happy as you go.
Do I have to go all the way and start my progress over, or I can concentrate? Because I listened to you and you said, concentrate on positives. That's what I was doing.
You don't have to, but here's the thing. Even Esther thought she was doing what we were teaching. She just did another focus wheel. So she just soothed it for a minute. Her point of attraction was such that she had some things going on that she'd attracted from previous vibrations that she couldn't clean up with a focus wheel, because there was so much momentum already there that the factors involved just kept knocking her off her alignment. And so here's the best way of describing it. If this relationship is this damn much work, start over. Start over. If it's so much work that you're just spinning yourself into oblivion, if there's so much to react to, then sometimes it's better. And we don't mean leave the relationship. We don't mean leave the job. We mean approach it from a more centered place. And when you do that, what happens is the path of least resistance becomes so much more evident to you. You know, almost everyone makes almost every decision from a place of being more dominant about what they don't want than about what they do want.
I agree.
So you just keep trying to solve problems and you try to make your word more productive than they can be, or your actions more productive than they can be. And sometimes it's like this. What if you really wanted employment? Let's go back to that topic. And the dollars were urgently needed right now. And so that was a dominant factor within you. So it would be logical that the path of least resistance for you would be to take something that could bring the dollars the fastest. Well, just because that's not really where you want to be long term doesn't mean that that path of least resistance wasn't exactly right for you at the time. But now you're in this situation where the dollars are flowing and that is relieved. But now other things that are important to you are showing themselves to you. So you get to add another intention to the mix, which means this current manifestation is not the best answer to the newly understood desire that you've put back over here into the vortex. So often Esther would say on occasion, I don't want to hurt their feelings. And Jerry would say, you'd rather hurt your own feelings? Or you say, I don't want to be seen as irresponsible, or I don't want to rock the boat. In other words, you make up all kinds of things when a manifestation isn't quite right, because frankly, the path of least resistance is not to just walk away right now. That would make it much worse for you, much more upheaval sometimes in some of your quick, not well thought out fixes than if you just sort of let the status quo be where it is while you find a new centered place. We know you're following this. So now?
So first, my desire is supposed to be general. It should be not specific, right? So when I get...
Here's the thing. If it isn't working, if there's not satisfaction for whatever reason, then you've got to go more general. And that's really what we're demonstrating by going back to meditating. So as you go more general, and then the general, it will become more and more specific as more and more momentum ensues. But if you start with making it more specific out here where the boat's already rocky, then the more specifics will be more of what you don't want. Where if you start back in the general place and you let it build again, then you'll build a foundation that is solid, and the more specifics will be in accordance with the foundation. Did that make sense to you?
Yes, and I got there, right? And I have some small undesirable things happening, right? And instead of concentrating on them, I'm trying to concentrate on positive things
But here's the thing. If you're looking at the manifestation and you're saying, well, that's positive, that's negative, and that's positive, that's negative, and these are the good things and these are the not so good things. These are the pros and these are the cons, and it's really good in this way. And when you look for positive aspects in the manifestation, you can't help but amplify without meaning to the negative aspects too. But if you start over where there are no negative aspects and you allow the momentum to build, no negative aspects, only positive aspects, only positive aspects, only positive aspects. When you get there, that's all that's active in you. And then, because that's all that's active in you, the negative aspects have to fall away. In other words, you'll know what to do. The path of least resistance will be so obvious to you, because sometimes those negative aspects that you see are modifiable by your strong energy. In other words, who's holding the energy of the room? Haven't you noticed that? If you are tuned in, tapped in, turned on, and you're in an environment with others, this powerful influence of alignment can carry a meeting. It can carry a situation. Everyone becomes more brilliant. Everyone becomes more loving. Everyone knows what to do. But if you didn't get there first and you just sort of wandered in a room because you've been assigned to be there, and now you're taking score of what's already there, and there's some of this and some of that and some of this and some of that, you didn't really bring any power of your own. And now whatever energy is squeaking the loudest will be the energy that controls the meeting. You have so much evidence of this happening.
How can we talk more often without following Esther all over the US? How can I hear your answer more often?
It's easy. We've only got one and we just gave it to you.
Thank you.
Just buy this recording and just listen to it. There isn't a long list of things that you need to keep learning because the basics are the same. You're asking and Source is delivering to you, and you just get into receptive mode. And if you say, am I happy? You use words like love. You don't know if you're offering love or not because love is so scrambled in your vibrational brain. There's been so many times that you've thought about love while you weren't feeling it, while you weren't in alignment. You want love from somebody that's not giving it to you. In other words, love is sort of a word that you probably shouldn't say anymore because the vibration of it's kind of all whacked out, you see. But when you think in terms of satisfaction, you can tell whether this is a satisfying moment or not. You can tell. And if it's satisfying, stick with it. And when it stops being satisfying, then change the subject or release yourself back into your day. So this is the dance that you all are doing. We love you so much that you are out here on this leading edge doing this dance. You came as pure positive energy into an environment where you were almost forced you were forced. It was the world into which you were born. You were forced into observation of manifestation. And the manifestation that you're observing has all kinds of wanted and unwanted things in it. And then, bless your heart, you spend your whole life trying to sort out the wrongness and the rightness of these manifestations. And that's why we say you just can't get there from there. You got to get back to the center of your true heart in order to understand what you're seeing and why it resonates and why it doesn't, why this feels so wonderful and why this feels so outrageous. And anything that feels outrageous and off is off because your inner being isn't seeing it the way you're seeing it, you see. This is how your guidance system works. These are the tenets of your life experience and you and why you're here. We're going to speak them from your first person perspective. I am a physical human in a physical body who is an extension of source energy. My source energy part of me is the dominant part of me. And anytime I deny that, I don't feel good. I don't feel satisfaction. When I allow the wholeness of who I am to be present in a moment, I am satisfied. And that satisfaction ranges from a calm sense of homecoming to the most emphatic passion and delight. But I am satisfied at all levels of momentum. There is satisfaction with little momentum that feels like calm. There's satisfaction at interim momentum that feels like interest. There's satisfaction at really fast-moving momentum, which feels like passion and ecstasy and brilliance and invincibility. But it's satisfaction with variances in momentum. But if I'm over here in the manifestation and I haven't allowed the momentum to grow from this, but the momentum of my moment has grown from dissatisfaction, don't want that, that's wrong, can you believe what that one said, can you believe what that one said, then I can't gather the momentum of my source. And so now everything I do is contrary to who I really am, and no matter how hard I try, I can't get it together because I'm off on the wrong vibrational foot. But then I get to go to sleep. And while I sleep, it's like pushing the reset button. And while I sleep, all of the momentum subsides, not the vibrational proclivity. In other words, if I was ornery yesterday, I'm probably going to be ornery today and probably tomorrow. In other words, orneriness doesn't let go immediately. But my momentum did subside. And so it's easier for me to begin in meditation at the beginning of a new day. And if I really understand that quieting my mind just sets at ease my beliefs that have been hindering me, but it leaves active my beliefs that are of help, because the beliefs that my inner being holds about me and about my world and about the others with whom I'm interacting, those beliefs are so helpful. And so the sorting process of what works for me and what doesn't work for me works best with a quieted mind. If I try to do it out here on this edge of manifestation, where now I've got to consider all the thoughts, how many times have you sat with others, if you're a parent, and discussed the appropriateness of this behavior as a parent and this one and this one and this one? You just can't get there from there. All the thousands and thousands of books that have been written about try this with your child and try this with your child and try this with your child and discipline your child in this way and don't discipline your child at all. And none of it is really working very well because the vibrational basis from which you are asking is not allowing you to be in the receptive mode. And if you're not in the receptive mode, it is certain that whatever you are conveying to your children or to your employees or to anyone that you're wanting to instruct, they cannot possibly be getting what you mean if you're not in the receiving mode while you're delivering it to them. You see what we're getting at? But if you take the time to tune in, tap in, turn on, if you take the time to start there and then let that momentum build, and then you follow your impulses, which means because you are in the receptive mode, you will rendezvous with others who are in the receptive mode, and then you will have the most brilliant collaboration, the most brilliant co-creation, the most brilliant what you call coincidences, which are just incidences that coincide. In other words, you will have the most brilliant co-creative experiences with others if you start there. And you do it often enough that you know the difference. Helpful?
Thank you. It's always helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. Good day.